What's going on, everyone? My name is Joe Ivan, and we are live on 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Thank you all for tuning in to the Weekly Cheese, the Pocono's #1 place for everything Green Bay Packer. Just as a reminder, everything you hear on the Weekly Cheese is my opinion, and nothing you hear reflects the views or opinions of 90.3 WESS or East Stroudsburg University. Now let's get into it.
Yeah. Packer country. My your green card. Let's go. We playing Dom Capers defense. Edgar Bennett offense. Run the table when they think we lost it. Aaron jumped the defense offset. We pulling upsets. We up next. Super Bowl city, we the suspect. Secure the trophy. Bring Vince home. He should have been home. We end zone bound. They count us out. We scoring 10 touchdowns. Green and yellow on my jersey. Ain't no mercy to get. It's controversy through this journey, but we in it to win. This a new season, new hope, new reason, new wide receivers, new bandwagon cheerleaders, but we don't need them. We over eager, meet the opposing team at the 50. We flipping quarters for sides, but whatever side that they give us, they know. Winning Wisco, it's a go pack go. We send your team back home, dreams and them schemes back home. Back home, we want our trophy back, we need the rings back. We need that Vincent back, we missing that. We brought the king back. Mr. Rogers, ain't no kidding play. No delay of game, he ran the table, he gon' make a way. Somebody get his cape, give him space, let him call a play. He audible and fake, that's why he great. Never play it safe, he all in for the game. And then it's Clay with the defense, Mason with the kicks, he never misrepresents. He's so convenient, believe in the process, it ain't no mercy to get. It's controversy through this journey, but we in it to win. Playing Dom Capers defense, Edgar Bennett offense. Run the table when they think we lost it. Aaron jumped the defense offset. We pulling upsets, we up next. Super Bowl city, we the suspect. Secure the trophy. Bring Vince home. He should have been home. We end zone bound. They count us out. We scoring 10 touchdowns. Green and yellow on my jersey. Ain't no mercy to get. It's controversy through this journey, but we in it to win. This a Packer country where your green card poppy. Ain't no options. Gotta watch them. Fake fans been flocking. They phony. Root for the home team. Cheeseheads only. Home of the trophy. Hopefully we bring that trophy home safely. Ha play the safety. Playmaking. He make a difference. Offense go the distance. Precision. We got a vision. We signed Martellus Bennett. Wise decision, we here. Still beginning, time to get it, time to win it this year. No fear and no regrets, too many vets on the roster. Fact, the best is yet to come, we overcame all the obstacles. Anything's possible, be mindful of that. With Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson at the Y, we a threat. Put that pressure on them, lethal weapons on them, special teams on them, DBs on them, that defense. Believe in the process, it ain't no mercy to get. It's controversy through this journey, but we in it to win. Playing Dom Capers defense, Edgar Bennett offense. Run the table when they think we lost it. Aaron jumped the defense offset. We pulling upsets, we up next. Super Bowl city, we the suspect. Secure the trophy, bring Vince home. He should have been home. We end zone bound. They count us out, we scoring 10 touchdowns. Green and yellow on my jersey, ain't no mercy to get. It's controversy through this journey, but we in it to win. Secure the trophy.
And we are back. This is the Weekly Cheese, 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And that was a new one for you guys. Secure the Trophy by Wisco Kyle, part of the rap group The Wisco Kids, who brings us Run the Table and other beloved Packer songs like that. And although it's a little outdated, and obviously signing Martellus Bennett was not the correct move for the Green Bay Packers at the time, nor will it ever be, the sentiment of that song holds true. It's time to secure the trophy and bring Vince back to Title Town. And the Packers are one step closer to doing so. On Sunday, the Green Bay Packers beat the Chicago Bears in the 202nd all-time matchup between the two teams. They've solidified themselves as the first seed in the NFC playoffs for the third time since 1990. They've secured the first-round bye and home field advantage throughout the playoffs in what was really a fantastic finish to an odd yet special regular season for the Green Bay Packers. And on Sunday, the Bears really followed the same format that most teams attempt to do against the Green Bay Packers, and those that follow this format correctly and execute it well tend to beat the Green Bay Packers, which is just hold the ball. keep Aaron Rodgers off the field, have slow, methodical drives, wear down the defense, and win a close one. And honestly, the Bears, if that was their goal, which it seems to have been their goal, they really succeeded. They held the football for 35 and a half minutes, which is 11 more minutes than the Packers had it all game. They took 30 more offensive snaps than the Green Bay Packers. The Packers only had 10 snaps offensively in the second quarter, but luckily were able to score on 3 of them and get out to that early lead. But really, despite the huge differential in the ball control stat, which the Packers have been dominating in all season long, really, the Packers were able to just win comfortably, thanks to a really long drive at the beginning point. The first drive of the fourth quarter for the Packers was long, and that was a real critical drive for them. And the big turnover late in the fourth quarter. The Packers' defense did allow the Bears to convert on 5 of 6 fourth down conversions on the game, but gave up only 1 touchdown in the 5 trips to the red zone that the Bears had. And having this explosive offense that the Green Bay Packers obviously have, to having a defense that doesn't give up touchdowns in the red zone is really all you need. The Packers have the most explosive offense in the league, and the defense gave up 1 touchdown all game on the Bears' opening drive. And that's really how you could comfortably win a game after being outsnapped by 30. I mean, geez. The Bears were really, really holding that ball. And really, having an offense that's balanced that way with a dominant offense and a defense that's good enough is really a recipe for a championship run here, especially in this modern-day COVID NFL we're looking at right now. As far as the offense goes, obviously, everyone has heard the devastating news that came to us late last week. Unfortunately, 2020 gave us one last kick in the arse on its way out the door. And evening time, getting into nighttime on New Year's Eve, my sister's birthday, we're having a small little COVID-friendly gathering for her. That the mood was good, everything was going well, and boom, I looked down at my phone and breaking news. David Bakhtiari, Packers all-pro left tackle, tore his ACL in a non-contact walk-through practice. It is really a devastating injury for the Green Bay Packers at the worst possible time for it to happen. And I really feel worse. I feel the most bad for David. I mean, obviously and selfishly, I feel bad that he's not going to be on the field every week, but no one has given it more blood, sweat, and tears than David Bakhtiari over the past 7 years. For 7 years, he's been a solid rock on our offensive line, and it was really just a bummer to have him go down with such a long-term injury. Chances are he'll probably be out till mid-next season. And LaFleur called the injury just a freak thing. He said that it was a non-contact practice injury, and it was just one of those freaky things. And he also stated that the team needs to be able to move forward and get ready for the challenge, especially the offensive line. And on Sunday, they really proved that they were ready for the challenge without David. The starting offensive line on Sunday was the same offensive line that started the games when David Bakhtiari missed some time earlier in the year. Billy Turner took over the left tackle position. Obviously, Elton Jenkins and Corey Linsley were at left guard and center. Lucas Patrick was able to shift back over to the right guard position, and this guy's name always gets me. Rick Wagner was tasked with coming in at right tackle. Obviously, Elton Jenkins and Corey Linsley were as solid as always. Corey Linsley and Elton Jenkins are about as good as it gets for the NFL. And Billy Turner filled in nicely at left tackle. Obviously, he had humongous shoes to fill with David Bakhtiari being down. But Billy showed us a couple times in the past that he has the ability to move all around the line. And he stepped in there nicely against a very tough pass rush and did a great job. He did give up the team's only sack of the day to Khalil Mack. But despite that, he did a solid job. The whole offensive line as a whole did a solid job, and there was really no horrifying moments or constant pressure on Aaron Rodgers for the entirety of the game, besides that one sack where Khalil Mack was able to get around him. Lucas Patrick went back to his best position on the line, right guard, and the difference in his productivity on the right side of the line as opposed to the left side of the line is just glaring. It's night and day, and it really is probably the reason they opted to go with Billy Turner at the left tackle position. I was thinking there for a while that when I initially found out about David Bakhtiari's horrible injury, that I figured that maybe Elton Jenkins would kick out to the left tackle position, and maybe we'd see some Lucas Patrick at left guard and keep Billy where he was at the right. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's the way it panned out. And the biggest surprise, because remember, Rick Wagner was carted off the field just last week. He seemed to be in excruciating pain against the Tennessee Titans. He left the game early. And he was able to come back in and do a very impressive job blocking the Bears' defensive front. I mean, the Bears have Khalil Mack, they have Akeem Hicks, and then they have that Francois guy. He's a behemoth. And they really are the best pass rush the Packers will be facing for the rest of the year, unless Washington wins, but we'll see. But against a very solid pass rush, he did a great job. He won all his one-on-ones against Khalil Mack, which he saw a lot of. And his toughness has become very evident over the past 3 months. Beginning of the year, I was very down on Rick Wagner. He had a horrible year for the Detroit Lions last year. Got him for mere pennies off the free agency market. And I was concerned that if he ever was tasked with a major role in some important football games, that the Packers might be in some trouble. But the change of scenery seemed to have done him well. Rick Wagner is playing some solid football as of right now, and the Packers' offensive line proved yet again that they are versatile, they are deep, and that they could all play. They all like getting dirty in those trenches, the offensive line. And as I said, just one sack given up all day against a very solid Bears defensive line. Aaron Rodgers, another phenomenal performance. Finished the day 19 for 24, 240 yards, 4 touchdowns. Solidified his third NFL MVP award. At this point, it's general consensus. Goodell should be at the next home game with the award, just ready to give it to him. Aaron Rodgers is the NFL MVP. Finished the year with a league-leading, career-high, and franchise record 48 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. He had a 121.5 passer rating, making him third all-time, already a record that he owns. And he finished with an 84.4 quarterback rating. And most impressively, Aaron Rodgers finished the year with a league-leading 70.7 completion percentage. Over the past couple of years, people have been talking about Aaron Rodgers like he's losing a step. He doesn't look the same. He's holding the ball too long. Yada, yada, yada. They're saying everything they can about him for the past 2-3 seasons. But he's back. He never left. But he's back in the public eye. People are finally starting to take note of just how good this man still is. He obviously had the MVP-worthy season, and the chances are he's going to get the award. I think it's almost guaranteed at this point. But isn't it just a little frustrating to think about the numbers that Aaron Rodgers could have put up this season if not for drop passes? I mean, seriously. Aaron Rodgers this season has lost 27 points due to drops, which is the third most in the league. And if this number, I don't know exactly how many drop passes the Packers had this season, but it was enough that led to 27 points they missed out on. If that number of drops was cut in half, Aaron would easily have 50 touchdowns, which just would have made this season even that much more insane. I know the 48 is still damn good, but 50. I've been saying for weeks now I think he's going to have 50. And he just didn't get there. Fell short. He had 50 with the rushing touchdowns, but fell just short of that 50 mark. And a main reason for all these drop passes, especially the ones leading to touchdowns, is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He has the second highest drop percentage in the league for eligible wide receivers. And on Sunday, it was more of the same. Once again, it was the classic Marquez Valdes-Scantling experience put on display on the field. 2 catches for 87 yards and 1 touchdown. That's a good game for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He's bound to pop off for a huge bomb touchdown once every 4 or 5 weeks. And on Sunday, he made an amazing 72-yard touchdown catch in the second quarter, put the Packers up 14-10, and really at that point, it kind of seemed like there was no looking back. But unfortunately, just a few drives later, to start the second half, to start the third quarter, on the same play, a deep ball, Marquez Valdes-Scantling had a horrible drop pass, killed the momentum, completely stalled the offense for the next couple drives, and is one that simply cannot happen in a big playoff game. It's remarkable. You could have almost guaranteed that the next opportunity he had, especially in that game, to make a huge play, he was going to drop it. It's the Marquez Valdes-Scantling experience. It's the MVS experience. And at this point, I think all Packer fans are numb to it. I really do. And it's just so frustrating because he has so much potential. He is one of the fastest players in the NFL. He has this uncanny deep ball threat. He has the ability to get loose in the secondary and really hurt defenses deep, especially with Davante Adams commanding so much respect. But he's inconsistent. The inconsistency is just mind-boggling. Marquez Valdes-Scantling leads the NFL in yards per catch. He averages 21 yards per catch. And he's the first Packer since Jordy Nelson in 2014 to have 2 or more 70-yard touchdowns in 1 year. And he has, I believe, 8 or more 40 on his career or something crazy like that. The guy catches prayers. But he follows it up almost every single time with a faux pas of the ages. And against the Bears, that drive-killing, momentum-shifting drop, 53-yard touchdown right in his arms, trying to catch it with his body. Against the Bears, it could work. It's not going to ruin the Packers. The Packers will be able to recuperate. The Bears are garbage. But against a team with a great offense, that's just not going to get it done. It was disappointing to see. It's the MVS experience, and we all just have to hope that in the playoffs, there's not a blatant drop like that. Those are the ones that he needs to grab. Besides MVS in the passing game, Davante Adams, 6 catches, 46 yards, and a touchdown on Sunday. And it was really obvious from the get-go that the Bears were planning to take Davante Adams out of the game. Hold the ball. Don't let Davante beat you. That's the recipe. They're rolling coverages his way all afternoon, and he had a very, very mediocre overall performance when you look at the stats. He was quiet for the majority of the game. He had 2 receptions in the first 3 quarters. But in crunch time, when the Green Bay Packers needed Davante Adams the most, the game was getting a little hairy. The offense was stalling. Nothing seemed to be working. No one was getting open. Davante Adams did what Davante Adams does. He did what the greatest receiver in the NFL does. After their mid-game low and punting the ball in back-to-back possessions, Davante Adams caught 3 passes, including 2 first downs. Three passes, 2 for a first down during the Packers' much-needed 12-play, 8-minute drive in the fourth quarter. The Packers went into halftime with the lead, opened it up with that MVS drop. The offense stalled, 2 punts in a row, and all of a sudden it was sort of a game again. Then Davante Adams showed up. The Packers drove down the field on what was a much-needed long drive. Aaron Jones was able to run the ball in for a 4-yard touchdown to cap it off. The defense got their rest, came back on the field. The Packers milked almost 9 minutes off the clock, and Mitch Trubisky had to drive down the field in a 2-score game. Quick, efficiently, score a touchdown. Didn't end up happening. He threw the interception, and right from that point forward, the Packers had the game in their back pocket. And the most impressive thing about Davante Adams this season, I believe, if I had a vote, I'd give my vote for Offensive Player of the Year to Davante Adams. Finished the regular season with a franchise record 115 receptions and 77.2 catch percentage. 2 franchise records. And he also tied Sterling Sharp's single-season record with 18 touchdowns. He had one of the most impressive seasons by an NFL wide receiver in the history of the league. He's up there in the conversation with single seasons like Calvin Johnson, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and all the all-time greats. Davante Adams had an all-time great season. And he did it all with 13.5 games. In 13.5 games, he nearly led the league in almost every single statistical category, had the most yards per game, led the league in touchdowns, 100 yards short of having the first overall for yards in the season. He was an absolute monster. And if it wasn't for that injury and Davante Adams missing those 2.5 games, I honestly believe he would be the Offensive Player of the Year. It was an incredible season for him. He is just hitting his prime, in my opinion. And who knows what the future holds for our beloved Green Bay Packers, but hopefully Davante Adams is part of it for many years to come. And everyone's going to have their eye on him on this playoff run. I'm expecting just monstrous numbers come the postseason for number 17. The only other 2 touchdowns of the day, passing touchdowns of the day, were caught by Big Bub Tunyon, catching his 11th touchdown pass of the season, tying a Packers tight end single-season record. And Dominique Dafney. Who, you ask? Dominique Dafney. Been bursting onto the scene over the past 3 weeks. Last week, he had his first career reception for the Green and Gold and his NFL career. And on Sunday, Dominique Dafney had his second career catch and first career touchdown, which he followed up with a absolute monstrous hit on special teams. And the interesting thing about these 2 guys is they're both from Indiana State. They became the first 2 players from Indiana State to catch a touchdown in the same NFL game. And they're also 2 of the only 3 Indiana State alumni to ever catch a touchdown in the NFL. I thought that was interesting. I figured I'd share it with everyone. But the crazy thing is, both of these guys were undrafted. Bob Tunyon was sitting on the Detroit Lions practice squad. The Packers signed him, and look where he is now. Phenomenal season. 11 touchdowns. Packer record. And a complete stud. And out of nowhere, the Dominique Dafney, the past 3 weeks, has really become a difference maker on the offensive side of the ball for the Green Bay Packers, and he's proving to be a valuable role player. And it's just crazy because who would have ever... I didn't even know who this guy was until 3 weeks ago. And I didn't care who he was until last week. And now I could honestly say Dominique Dafney has won over my heart. Number 49. You never see that number out there on the field. And yeah, Packers have had a solid tight end room all year long. Tunyon has emerged as a star. Mercedes Lewis is the hardened veteran. He's father time in that tight end room. And then the third guy in there has been a kind of a revolving door. John Lovett was in there. Josiah DeGuara was in there. Jay Sternberger in and out. He's turning out to be sort of a bust. But Dominique Dafney coming in 3 straight weeks and contributing in big games. And I could not be more happy for the man. That hit he had on special teams was nasty. Absolute nasty. The run game on Sunday, it really just wasn't the type of game where the Packers were going to run the ball and dominate the run game. Only 10 snaps in the second quarter. It was just a weird game all around. Started the game with two back-to-back, a long drive from the Bears, a long drive from the Packers. That's really where you saw the majority of the Packers' run plays. But even though the run game never really got going, there were some strong impact plays made on the ground. Aaron Jones had 11 carries for 42 yards and a touchdown. He also contributed 4 receptions for 43 yards, getting back to his dual-threat ways. Jamal Williams returned from his quad injury. He had 5 carries for 26 yards. He broke off a nice 18-yard run. Him and Aaron shared that nice little moment there, smiling. After his big game last week, A.J. Dillon had a very light workload. 5 snaps. He had 1 carry for 3 yards. They're lining him and Aaron Jones up in that cool akimbo back is what I want to call it. I don't know the proper football term, X's and O terms for it, but it's an akimbo backfield with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones kind of on each of Aaron Rodgers' side. I like seeing that formation. It's pretty cool. They were able to run a cool screen pass out of it for Aaron Jones and really had effective plays while in that package. And yeah, the run game, just quiet game, solid game. Nothing to worry about there. 3-headed monster now after A.J. Dillon's very, very encouraging performance last week. And an all-around just dominant performance from the Green Bay Packers offense. Obviously should have had over 40 points. MVS with that big drop of a touchdown would have gave Aaron 49. And Tavon Austin unfortunately fumbled that punt return. It looked a little wet out there. Everyone returning kicks all day. Even Cordell Patterson seemed to be tiptoeing around. That ball seemed a little slick. Unfortunately, the special teams conundrum just continued for the Green Bay Packers. And who knows? Maybe if he never fumbles that punt, Aaron Rodgers might have finished the day with 50 touchdowns. I know it was on his mind. It was on my mind. Overall, another dominant performance from the Green Bay Packers. Number 1 offense in football. And they got the job done. The offense, year 2 in LaFleur's system, seemed to be just amazing. The offense was firing on all cylinders from the early stages of the season. And congrats to Matt LaFleur for starting his career 26-6. That's a pretty good record for your first 2 seasons as an NFL head coach, if I don't say so myself. Rounding out the offensive portion of our show tonight, just want to highlight the fact that Pro Bowl selections haven't been made, yes, but today all Pro selections were made. And the Packers have 5 first-team All-Pro players. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Corey Linsley, Jair Alexander, and Adrian Amos. Those 5 gentlemen are representing the Green Bay Packers on the All-Pro team. It's a very impressive amount of guys to have on first-team All-Pro. I can't even remember the last time the Packers had that many names on the first-team All-Pro list. And really, no surprises there. Aaron, of course. Devontae, of course, even though he missed some time. Corey Linsley's a surprise. He missed a couple games there, but he's a stud. And Alexander and Amos, double A, secondary phenoms, the stars of the Packers secondary. And David Bakhtiari got a second-team All-Pro nod. He probably would have gotten the first-team All-Pro if it wasn't for his injury there at the end and a couple of those mindless penalties and his injury earlier in the season. It was just a weird season, an unfortunate ending to the season for David Bakhtiari. But second-team All-Pro, and definitely would have been first-team All-Pro if not for all the controversies he faced this past season. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're chopping up the Packers' defense. Some steady improvements. Still some things that need polishing up. But the Packers made a move. The Packers made a move that I've been hammering that they needed to make for quite some time now. And when we get back, we're going to talk just about who's joining the Green Bay Packers team. And let's just say, the Packers nutrition team is going to need to get a few more snacks in their snack selection. Don't go anywhere. This is the Weekly Cheese, 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Rodgers, rock and roll. Rock on through that Super Bowl. Ramble, scramble, toss them tees, drive their defense to its knees. My Green Bay Pack's heart and soul. Aaron Rodgers, rock and roll. Who's that QB with that 1-2 punch? Eats DBs with cheese for lunch. Red zone time, them guys be flying. Big butt men be doing some crying. TD from my GB's QB, let's go. Aaron Rodgers, rock and roll. Aaron Rodgers, rock and roll. Rock on through that Super Bowl. Ramble, scramble, toss them tees, drive their defense to its knees. My Green Bay Pack's heart and soul. Aaron Rodgers, rock and roll. Let's rock! Oh, you got it, baby. What's that? Do I love my Green Bay Packers? Oh, baby, you know better than to ask that. But don't feel sad. I'm fond of you too, honey. Who's that QB with that Midas touch? A-Rod here, cool in the clutch. Live this world of green and gold. All you football freaks, behold. Be a Pack fan or eat crow with cheddar. Face the facts, our QB's better. Aaron Rodgers, rock and roll. Rock on through that Super Bowl. Ramble, scramble, toss them tees, drive their defense to its knees. My Green Bay Pack's heart and soul. Aaron Rodgers, rock and roll. My Green Bay Pack's heart and soul. Aaron Rodgers, rock and roll. My Green Bay Pack's heart and soul. Go, Pack, go!
Yeah, alright. Come on. My Green Bay Packers, proud and strong. Standing tall above the rest, it's right where we belong. 'Cause we love the feeling of being number one. Pack proud and strong. Green and gold, gifted and bold, our pride showing through all the way. By any test, we give our best with determination, pride and energy. My Green Bay Pack, it's on to victory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My Green Bay Packers, proud and strong. Standing tall above the rest, it's right where we belong. 'Cause we love the feeling of being number one. Pack proud and strong. Yeah, alright. Come on. My Green Bay Packers, proud and strong. Standing tall above the rest, it's right where we belong. 'Cause we love the feeling of being number one. Pack proud and strong. Green and gold, gifted and bold, our pride showing through all the way. By any test, we give our best with determination, pride and energy. My Green Bay Pack, it's on to victory. Yeah, 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 yeah. My Green Bay Packers, proud and strong. Standing tall above the rest, it's right where we belong. 'Cause we love the feeling of being number one. Pack proud and strong.
Rolling down Wisconsin highways with Lambeau Field in our eyes. Cars on 43 and trucks on 41. No, we got Pack of pride. The beer is ready, so are the brats. Crank up the cheeseheads, baby. The Weber grill is hot. We gonna tailgate to it. Just can't tailgate no more. From Kewanee to Milwaukee, Winnebago to Muskego, everybody's very happy, and the Pack is winning all the time. Looks like another perfect game.
And we're back. It's the Weekly Cheese, 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And what you just listened to there was a double shot of Eddie J. Lemberger with Aaron Rodgers' Rock and Roll and Pack Proud and Strong, Eddie J. Lemberger, the greatest Packers musician there ever was. And a little bit of I Love Green Bay by the Cheeseheads with Attitude, an all-time classic. But let's get into it. The Packers defense. The Packers defense. First time all year, I'm saying that with a little bit of a smile on my face. The defense was on the field for a very long time on Sunday due to Chicago's extremely conservative and overall boring offense. And despite allowing a bunch of fourth and short conversions and being backed up in the end zone 5 times, the Packers only allowed 1 touchdown. And that touchdown came on the very first drive of the game with all the Bears' scripted plays. For the second straight week, the Green Bay Packers' run defense was competent. The Packers did a good job at containing David Montgomery. He's been averaging over 100 yards a game and 5 yards per carry over the last 4 weeks. And the Packers were able to hold him to just 69 yards, 3.1 yards per carry, which is the fewest amount of yards and yards per carry that David Montgomery has had since the last time he played the Packers in Week 12. And, of course, the run defense starts up front with the defensive line. And just last week, Wednesday, immediately after the Weekly Cheese, I missed it by 1 day. I wish I could have reported it last week. But the Green Bay Packers made an acquisition of someone who I believe will help this Packers defense tremendously down the stretch in this postseason. Last week, the Packers signed Damian Snacks Harrison off of waivers, and on Sunday, he saw his first action as a Green Bay Packer. We got a little glimpse as to what Snacks does and how Snacks changes the level of play of the Packers' defensive line. He only played 12 snaps on Sunday, but in his time on the field, Snacks showed exactly why it's such an exciting addition to this Packers defense. He's 6'3", 340 pounds. He's an absolute immovable object against the run. And he showed his ability to still penetrate the backfield. He nearly had a huge tackle for a loss on his first couple snaps there in the first half. And he's just a behemoth. Snacks on the defensive line. He makes the Packers defensive line very physically intimidating. Him and Kenny Clark lining up next to one another, that is a run-stuffing defensive line. I love me some Lowry, I love me some Lancaster, and give me some Kiki too, but Damian Snacks Harrison is going to contribute some major snaps and contribute some major impact plays for this Packers team down this home stretch here. Obviously, the Packers still went with their Kenny and Dean combo, the Dean Lowry-Kenny Clark combination to start the game, and they received the majority of the work, as they always do. They combined for 10 tackles and 1 QB hit, and they really were the main reason the Packers were able to contain Montgomery. As much as I love seeing Snacks in there for his 12 snaps, Dean Lowry did a great job at causing some movement at the line and winning the battle up front. But everyone should expect Damian Harrison to start getting more playing time. He has 2 weeks now to get acclimated to the Packers' defensive playbook. And I really do feel that Damian Harrison is primed and ready to go on a strong run here, a la Howard Green. Dare I say, he will go on a Howard Green-esque run. In 2010, right at the end of the year, the Packers were in some desperate need for some fortification of their defensive line, and what did they do? They went out late in the season, and they claimed Howard Green off waivers, and as we all know, Howard Green made one of the biggest plays in the Super Bowl, disrupting the Ben Roethlisberger pass, getting his hand on Ben Roethlisberger's elbow, forcing the interception to Nick Collins, which ultimately was taken to the house. So I'm very happy with the Packers Goot went out there. I know they wanted to sign Damian Harrison off waivers a couple months ago. He ended up signing with the Seattle Seahawks. It does make me a little salty knowing that he would rather play for the Seahawks over the Packers, especially at that time. He probably was under the assumption that the Seahawks would end up with a better record and be in a better place than the Packers at this point of the season. But nonetheless, Snacks is with the Packers. Huge signing, good move, adds much needed depth and honestly ability at the defensive line position. As much as we all love our Tyler Lancaster, there's no denying that Snacks is an immediate upgrade from him and most likely an immediate upgrade from Dean Lowry. And for the second week in a row, the Green Bay Packers Green Bay Packers run defense was competent. It was solid. Under 100 yards for the premier back for the other team. Just over 100 yards they gave up total on the ground. And it's the progression we've been all waiting for. Cannot complain about the Packers' run defense over the past 2 weeks, and if this is the run defense that the Packers continue to put on tape and put out there on the field down this playoff stretch, I honestly believe the Packers are in good shape. The inside linebacking situation for the Green Bay Packers and the seems to have been figured out finally. Chris Barnes played a nice game. He led the defense with a season-high 14 tackles. He had a tackle for a loss. And this is the third week in a row he's been starting as the primary linebacker wearing the mic'd headset over Christian Kirksey. And he's continuing to show growth and comfortability in that role. At the same time, Christian Kirksey is now 3 weeks into his role as the secondary weak side linebacker, and he's thriving. He finished the game with 7 tackles of his own. He had a defended pass and the only sack of the afternoon for the Green Bay Packers. He's getting fewer and fewer snaps. He had 23 in this past Sunday. He seems fresh when he's out there. He's not a blatant liability in coverage. Chris Barnes is gaining confidence. He hits hard. He's a good tackler. And the situation at the interior linebacker position seems to be working itself out. Finally. Took 17 weeks. But it seems as if there's some sort of consistency going on there. And that is obviously a plus. Between the defensive line stepping it up, Kenny Clark coming to form, Snacks, and now the linebacker, or the interior linebacker, kind of just becoming consistent for the Packers, things only look up from here. As far as the pass defense, Mitch Trubisky went 33 for 42. He finished with 252 yards and an interception. He honestly should have had 3 interceptions. Shannon Sullivan should have had one. Could have had one, not should have had one. And Kevin King should have had one on that blatant drop in the end zone. Who knows what he was thinking about when that ball was coming his way. Obviously, it was not catching it. He had the same... He honestly tried to catch the ball like MVS. They put their arms out and their elbows together, basically. I don't know who thinks that's a good way to try to catch a football with your elbows completely together, but Mitch Trubisky did mess up a numerous amount of times. And he completed 33 passes, but it was all these bogus short throws. I mean, he had that one deep ball to whatever that guy's name is, and over Darnell Savage. Savage almost had that interception. And besides that, Mitch Trubisky was just dumping it off all game. The Bears ran that same boot action dump-off pass to Kmet over and over again, at least 6-7 times to Kmet alone. They did the same thing with Montgomery and a couple times with Jimmy Graham. They were just running these boot dump-off passes. And it was just an extremely boring offense to watch. The Bears obviously had a game plan. Hold that ball, move the ball slowly. 3 plays here, 4 yards here. And it was just very unimaginative and boring. The Bears had a 15-play, 10-minute drive, which resulted in a turnover of downs. It spanned from the end of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, and they turned it over on downs. And I know nobody in America wants to watch Mitch Trubisky and the Bears offense take the field one more time. But unfortunately, with the way it shook out, the Bears will be playing in Wild Card Weekend, and there's a chance very slim chance, I would say, that the Packers could be facing this same exact Bears team in 2 weeks' time in the divisional round, which would just honestly be a blessing. Slim chance that happens. But don't let Mitch Trubisky's numbers on Sunday fool anyone. He's not a good quarterback. When he finally had to make a play, he turned it over. And those 33 completions for 252 yards were about as boring of a 33 completion, 252-yard game as I've ever watched in my entire life. The pass rush was quiet all day long. The Bears were doing that quick pass offense, so there was really no time for the pass rush to even get to Trubisky. That and the lack of third and longs that the Packers were forcing all night just really made it a tough day in terms of getting to the quarterback. With that being said, Rashawn Gary had the best day out of all the Packers edge rushers. Out of the trio, he had easily the best performance. He's really coming into a really strong player. He's quite dominant over the past several weeks. He had 5 tackles, 1 for a loss, and a fumble recovery. Zadarius Smith contributed 2 tackles. Preston was able to get off a nice hit on Trubisky, the only hit from the edge rushers all day. It was a quiet day. The Bears' offense really, you all saw it. There was no time for the pass rush to get there, and I'm not concerned. It's not like the Packers couldn't get to Trubisky when they needed to. It just never came to fruition. As far as the secondary goes, the Packers' secondary is just continuing to amp up its level of play here as the season progresses. They have the best safety duo in the league, and Sunday was just another great showing from the two of them. Adrian Amos finished with 9 tackles. He had a game-changing interception in the fourth quarter once Trubisky was finally forced to throw the ball downfield. And he had an amazing strip on that short little dump pass to Kmet. The Packers were able to force 2 turnovers on that, obviously the 1 fumble, and on that same play, once they picked up on that, was really the only play in the Bears' offensive playbook that day. Amos made a brilliant play on the ball, stripped the ball. Unfortunately, it got called back. He would have been in the end zone for a forced fumble scoop score situation. Fortunately, got called back from a Preston Smith offsides penalty. Overall, just dominant game from Adrian Amos, the All-Pro. Congrats. And Darnell Savage was just active all day. He finished with 10 tackles. He swarms the field. I swear, when Darnell Savage has a read on a play, he seems to move faster than anyone on the field on both teams. And his second-year leap has been immense. He's really coming into his own. And the Packers, those 2 safeties are just phenomenal. Amos has been coming up and the dime in the box, playing the run defense, helping with the run defense. And the production that the Packers have just been getting out of the secondary and these 2 safeties is just something the Packers have been without for a very long time. As far as the cornerbacks are concerned, Jair Alexander, he was avoided practically all game. He locked up his first-team All-Pro selection. He had 3 tackles, broke up a pass, forced a fumble, and impressively, he had an impressive solo tackle on Jimmy Graham at the goal line on that final play of the game. He stuffed him, took him down, made Jimmy look small and like the statue he is. Just another phenomenal performance from the league's premier cornerback, Jair Alexander. Kevin King had easily his best game since returning from injury. He finished the day with 10 tackles, despite missing probably 3 more this week. The guy just refuses to wrap up. He's going to keep hurting his shoulders if he doesn't. I'm not sure if he's not extending his arms to go for the wrap-up due to the fact that his shoulders are so banged up. Whatever it is, he needs to change it. He was humiliated on a couple of tackle attempts there. But solid game, 10 tackles. He had 2 passes defended. And hopefully this is the game that he needs to get going. If he starts playing better and his hands come alive, he nearly had 2 interceptions on the day. And those are the plays that he was contributing to the team last year. He was forcing turnovers left and right. He had a bunch of interceptions. And after a rocky start to the season, Kevin King really didn't come back all that hot. He had a couple of really slow weeks getting reacclimated to the speed and everything. But he had a solid game. And hopefully he uses it as a leaping pad. Obviously, there's a bunch of energy in that secondary with the safeties playing so well, and then Jair Alexander. And Kevin King has swag naturally, so hopefully he's just getting started here as the playoffs are upon us. And Shannon Sullivan, he had a solid game. I mean, he's not the flashiest corner in the league. He's a solid slot corner. He got banged up early. He was able to return to the game. He finished the game with 6 total tackles. He had a huge pass breakup on 4th down late in the game, dropped the interception, but turned the Bears over on downs for the first time all game. Desperately needed 4th down stop. Basically buried the Bears. The Packers were able to come on the field, take that long drive, burn 9 minutes off the clock, score the touchdown, and really put the pressure on Trubisky, who obviously isn't suited to handle such pressure. And that's what I'm feeling really good about. I'm feeling very good about the Packers defense at this point. After a long and torturous season watching these guys get cooked by the run and soft coverage and sagging zones, it was just really hard at some points of the season to watch this Packers defense play. They've improved. And teams that contend for Super Bowls year in and year out constantly improve throughout the year. It's a must. You're not going to contend for a Super Bowl if you're not constantly improving throughout the 17-week season. And the Packers defense really is improving. Visually, on paper, with the statistics, the eye test says they're improving. The overall intensity that they generate and the emotion that it feels like they're playing with is improving. And they're improving on all 3 phases of the defense. Up front, Kenny Clark is healthy. He's back in peak condition, and he's playing like a Pro Bowler. He didn't get the Pro Bowl nod this year, but he is playing like a Pro Bowler. He's one of the league's premier defensive tackles when he's playing like this. You combine that with the addition of Snacks Harrison to the defensive line and just the overall production that the Packers' run defense has had over the 2 weeks, if not 3 past games. The defensive line is playing better. The run defense come together up front. Chris Barnes has solidified himself as the Mike linebacker. He's continuing to get comfortable. He's improving his overall play. He is a very good tackler. He rocks guys. He'll get better in coverage as time progresses. He's already shown that he's getting better in coverage throughout this season. He's getting banged up, but he's showing toughness. He got hurt twice on Sunday. He returned both times. And just the overall consistency that the Packers have needed at that inside linebacker position, the quarterback of the defense, that's all coming together. And in the secondary, Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos are continuing to wreak havoc. Amos is an all-pro. He's in the box. He's helping with the run. Kevin King is finally coming back into form that we saw him in last year. If he shores up his tackling, he'd be a stud again, really. Jair Alexander is as good as they come as a cornerback in the league. The Packers secondary is loaded. They're loaded. They've turned, the Packers defense is absolutely loaded in the secondary. Over the past 6 games since that Week 10 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars, although it was not the prettiest victory, I said that week that towards the end there, Rashawn Gary and the defense seemed to pick it up a notch in terms of their energy. And I don't know exactly what went on the field that day, but I stated that I felt that it was a turning point for the Packers defense. And since that game, the Packers have forced 11 turnovers. That's more than they had in the first 10 games of the year. And they've really been getting those timely turnovers that they saw all last year and did not see to start this season. And since that Week 10 matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Packers defense has turned itself from the 20th overall defense in the NFL to the 9th overall ranked defense in the NFL. It truly was the turning point that they needed. Ultimately, they're not the most consistently dominant defense in the NFL. They're not going to hound other teams. They're not going to shut other teams out. They're not a dominant defense by any means. of the imagination. But they have proven that they could get stops in important situations all season long. On Sunday, they held the Bears to field goals following a fumble on the punt return, and after a 53-yard completion to Darnell Mooney, and they were backed up in the red zone again. They forced field goals. The Bears were able to make big plays. They had opportunities to score, and they just couldn't. The Packers held them. And a defense that could handle adversity the way the Packers defense has proven they can, a defense that improves throughout a 17-week season like the Packers defense has. They could get stops in the red zone, opportune turnovers, combined with the star-studded, dominant #1 offense in the NFL. The Packers are in a good spot to make a championship run. And as we look ahead to the playoffs, the Packers are the #1 seed, first ever #1 seed, first round bye with the new playoff format. And although we don't know who the Packers are going to be playing in the divisional round at Lambeau Field in just 2 weeks' time, it could be Chicago. It could be the Rams. But I think it's most likely going to be Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has the Washington football team in their wild card matchup. And if you just assume Seattle takes care of business against the beaten-up Rams, and you assume New Orleans takes care of business against the Chicago Bears team that doesn't even deserve to be in the playoffs, and you assume that the better team wins in the Washington-Tampa Bay game, the Buccaneers are coming into Green Bay for a divisional round matchup, and the Packers will have an opportunity for vengeance. They will be able to bounce back and make up for that embarrassing loss that they suffered to the hands of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers earlier this year, coming off the bye week in Week 4. And it really can set the stage. It will set the stage for a Packers Super Bowl run. And once again, the Green Bay Packers will be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy and bringing it back to Titletown. That's the plan. That's what I believe is going to happen. And that is what is going to happen. The Green Bay Packers have home field advantage. They have the bye week, the much-needed bye week. They're going to rest up, get a game plan together, and take care of business at home throughout the NFC playoffs. Whoever the opponent is, I'm confident in the Packers' ability to win. And they will be the NFC representatives in the Super Bowl. That's going to do it for this week's episode of The Weekly Cheese. Make sure to tune in next week. Although there's no game this upcoming Sunday, there is a special playoff preview edition of The Weekly Cheese. I'll be talking about the playoff picture after the wild card weekend, outlining the Packers' path to the Super Bowl. We'll finally know who's coming to Lambeau for that cold divisional round matchup. And I'll also be compiling a couple lists. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been thinking about wanting to compile some lists for you guys. Just some fun Packers-related top 5, top 10 sort of lists. Have a good time, have some laughs. And yeah, we'll get ready for the divisional round together. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This has been The Weekly Cheese, 90.3 WESS, East Stroudsburg University, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. The Pocono's #1 place for everything Green Bay Packer. And as always, remember, the cheese stands alone. Have a good night, everyone.
I like my wife, she's okay. And for my kids, I'm thankful almost every day. I like my family, it's so dear to me. But I love the Green Bay Packers. I like my job, I like my friends. I like to drink a couple beers now and then. I like Wisconsin, it's the greatest state.